January 13th, 1842. A sentry on the walls of Jalalabad squints into the freezing haze rolling off the Saftko Mountains. Something is moving on the road from Kabul. Not an army, not a column, not even a group. One man, one horse. Both of them dying. The rider is slumped forward, his uniform in rags, a saber cut across his skull, crusted with frozen blood. The horse can barely walk. It will collapse and die within hours of arriving. The garrison sends out a rescue party. When they reach him, they ask the question that every soul inside those walls has been asking for a week. Where is the army? Where are the 16,000? The man's name is Dr. William Bryden, and he is, as far as anyone at Jalalabad can tell, all that's left of them. Behind him, scattered across 90 miles of frozen mountain passes, lie the frozen and mutilated bodies of an entire British and Indian army. Soldiers, officers, wives, children, camp followers. 16,000 people who marched out of Kabul 6 days earlier under a promise of safe passage. This isn't a battle. This is an entire army being erased. And the most brutal part of this story isn't the tribesmen waiting in the passes with Jazail rifles. It's that this catastrophe was written into the plan before a single shot was fired, by men who forgot that an army doesn't just march on courage. It marches on food, on shelter, on a line of supply back home. And at Kabul, in the dead of an Afghan winter, the British had none of those things. This is the story of the retreat from Kabul. To understand how 16,000 people ended up dying in the snow, you have to understand why they were in Afghanistan at all. By 1839, the British East India Company effectively rules the Indian subcontinent. But north of the Hindu Kush, a much larger anxiety is taking shape: Russia. The Great Game, the decades-long shadow rivalry between the British and Russian empires for control of Central Asia, has convinced British strategists in Calcutta and London that Afghanistan is the door through which a Russian army could one day march on India. The ruler of Afghanistan, Dost Muhammad Khan, is capable, popular, and, crucially, not reliably pro-British. So the East India Company decides to remove him and install a more compliant ruler, Shah Shuja, a former Afghan king who has spent the last 3 decades in exile. In 1839, a British-led army marches through the passes, takes Kandahar without a fight, storms the fortress of Ghazni, and enters Kabul. Dost Muhammad flees. Shah Shuja is placed on the throne. On paper, it's a triumph. The British have expanded their influence to the very edge of Central Asia, and the newspapers back home call it a bloodless masterstroke. In reality, they've just planted an occupying army in a country whose entire political culture runs on hospitality, honor, and a fierce resistance to foreign rule, and propped up a king that most Afghans regard as a British puppet. For 2 years, an uneasy peace holds. British officers bring their wives and families out from India. A garrison of around 4,500 troops, alongside roughly 12,000 camp followers, servants, merchants, families, laborers, settles into a sprawling, poorly fortified cantonment just outside Kabul, on low, indefensible ground overlooked by hills on every side. It's a decision that will cost them everything,